Today, I want to talk about keeping Trump in office and what people can do. I believe there's a case that can be made to which allows Trump to maintain his position as President of the United States, one which is moral, one which is the wish or command of the sovereign called the one people. In the first instance, we look at the moral issues. The natural law, which is the highest law, the law higher than any contract or agreement among men, is one which requires man to do no harm. Therefore, allowing a known criminal, charged or uncharged, but with evidence, to take the position as the leader of the United States of America would be a immoral act. There is a maxim of law that runs back through time in the days of ancient societies that states, "You should never let a guilty man go free, for you condemn the innocent." Allowing Biden to take presidency would condemn the innocence of people of this nation. An entire nation of people who must suffer for 4 years under a criminal ruler. Even though he is a public servant, the Democrats don't believe in service. They believe in ruling. This, I believe, goes against the natural laws. The moral laws, the law of doing no harm to another and not condemning the innocent. To understand the second issue, we need to understand sovereignty in America. It is different than most countries because sovereignty from this country comes from the bottom up. It comes from all the people as commands upon its government. The second, the commands set upon the servants, which are those in government, come from the sovereign. In Upsher's book on federal government, he calls the sovereign the one people. Also in other places called the people at large. The sovereign sets the commands upon its government to do certain things for it, and those are the law. In Austin's jurisprudence of positive law, he states, positive law may be described as consisting of commands set as rules of conduct by a sovereign to a member or members of the independent political society wherein the authority of the law is supreme. So in the United States of America, we have a different system than most other countries. Our system is one which allows the sovereign to come from the bottom up. In many other countries, such as aristocracies and monarchies, the sovereignty comes from the top down, and by the time it gets to the people, there's really none left. In Erskine's Principles of the Law of Scotland, it is said, "Law is the command of a sovereign containing a common rule of life for his subjects." That's a top-down society where the commands are issued by the king or the queen and the subjects must obey. That's why they're called subjects, because they're subject to the whims of the king or the commands of the king. Austin also states that laws flow from the sovereign as their source. They differ in the causes wherein the sovereign had been moved to establish them. So there's different reasons why the sovereign makes certain commands, okay? So their sources may be different than what it was that caused them to become so. Amongst these causes, perhaps the most important to be considered is custom. In Austin's lectures on jurisprudence, part 1, section 1, Austin again states, every positive law, or every law strictly so called, is set by a sovereign person or a sovereign body of persons to a number of members of the independent political society, wherein the person or body is sovereign or supreme. So in this republic, democratic republic, democracy means, demo means people, and cracy means rule. And then we have a representative form of democracy. So all the people vote to select who's going to represent them. And we are represented. In some nations, they have a direct democracy where the people rule their servants directly. All the people get a vote in every issue. In Lecture 1, Austin states that every law or rule is a command. The people can therefore issue a moral command upon its government as a command from the sovereign. They, the sovereign, can also issue commands as law outside the moral law, to which may be customs, such as popular vote. The electors electing by way of popular vote, or the command that the government follow the Constitution. The next question is, how does a large body of sovereign individuals create a body to force another inferior body to obey its commands? Even though our government is inferior to us, they're superior in that they have at their disposal large militaries and agents and employees that can carry out their commands, even though they're unconstitutional, in a way that causes an authoritarian type government upon us. A positive law, according to Austin, such as the Constitution, is one such as a Constitution, but a Constitution is not the only way to express a positive law. A positive law can be expressed in writing or by action, as long as it is laid down. Austin defines positive law, that is, law established, or positum, in an independent political community by the express or tacit authority of its sovereign or supreme government in America. The one people are the supreme government of the United States and of the states. Therefore, the sovereign people lay down the law, either tacit, expressed, carried on without words or speech, that means in writing, or implied, indicated by act or silence, but not actually expressed. Therefore, the command of the sovereign, one people, to choose its president comes from an express, which was performed by a vote which, as we know, was ignored by the electors selected by the states. Therefore, I pose a second expression of the command of the sovereign. The second expression of the command can be done in a number of ways. A letter formed as a deed, a letter formed as a presence, a letter formed as an act, which is basically a deed, a letter formed as a command, a video statement, a voice statement, and any other way you might think of. All things written should be signed, sealed, and delivered. That's the requirement of being a deed, a present, and an act, and a command. The way we have done this in the past, appropriate or simply acceptable, was to write the command or act or deed, dated at the top, write a simple 1 or 2 sentence, and then sign it with a scroll under your name, which in days of old where most people could not actually afford a wax seal, worked as a seal, and then deliver it through the mail system. So a scroll seal is just a scrolly thing under your name. It can look like anything. It's just a squiggly, scrolly type of thing. And that was called a scroll seal. You could also fax it, I suppose, as long as you keep your receipt of delivery. Scan or email with receipt of being sent. I would also make it a holographic or holographic document, which simply means you wrote it in your own hand. I would also write it as a command. Therefore, a command from a sovereign may appear something like this. And I'm not sure that there's an actual specific form, but here's just an example because some people just like to have examples. 2. Donald John Trump. It is commanded as a commandment upon you by the true and absolute sovereign of this nation that you carry heed to the following command. Do not cede the office of presidency to Mr. Joseph Biden, as doing so would condemn an entire nation of innocent natural persons, an act that would cause irreparable harm and thus an immoral act which cannot occur. Therefore, ceding the office of the President as the Executive of the United States of America and the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Land and Naval Forces would be to directly disobey the command of the true sovereign. It is done. And I always write this on my deeds. It is done. So I've said it and that's it. In the year of our Lord, 19 January 2021, signed, sealed, and delivered. So you would put your name, do a little scroll seal. There's no way I can do a scroll seal on here to show you, but so that's it. That's what I would do. And you can send it in a variety of ways. You can even certify it. And when I certify it with a tracking number, on the bottom, I'll put the tracking number, colon, and write the tracking number on the document. And then I take that document and scan it into archive.org and I post it there so that it's then in the public domain and everyone can see it. And I've done this with lots of things that I have written, lots of letters, commands, deeds, different things that I write. I always post it and I put the tracking number so that they can't deny that they received it. And then of course, when I get the electronic receipt saying that they had received it, I then post that on the internet also. Plus, if anything were to happen to my papers here at home, everything's available on the internet. Okay, so the sovereign, which is us, the one people, issue the commands to our government. Okay, that's a fact that can't be ignored. It's long-standing, it's ancient law. When our founders created this system of government, they created it in such a way that the sovereignty came from the bottom up. That's a democratic republic. We all have a voice through our representatives. That's the republic. And if you would like to write some sort of deed, act, command, whatever you want to call it, this is how I would do it. And I've written these, and some have had good results, some not. So it just depends. And you can write these and just send them to everywhere, send them to everyone. So this is just my my idea, my belief on making our voices heard a second time because they didn't listen the first time. And I know it's really already late in the hour. Right now it's 2:39, January 19th, 2021. And I don't suppose very many people will see this, but here it is. And good luck, everyone.